Every haunted place has a story with a dark past. This is Ghost Encounters Podcast. Due to the graphic and violent things discussed on this episode, listener discretion is advised. Welcome back, all you spooky people, to the 19th episode on the second season of Ghost Encounters Podcast. I am paranormal investigator Justin Torok.
And I'm Jordan, the group scientist.
We have a very special guest today. It is Brianna Lawrence. Woo!
Woo!
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So for those of you who don't know, Brianna was on an episode of Ghost Encounters with me. It's on our YouTube channel. We did the Sun In together, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this is probably going to tie into my first question for you. What was your first ever ghost encounter?
Well, my first ever ghost encounter was probably working at the Sun Inn. For those who don't know, the Sun Inn was built in 1758 in downtown, what is now downtown Bethlehem, and it is definitely haunted at this point. It's said to have 3 ghosts. I know we interacted most with the youngest ghost. It said we have a little girl named Sarah. She's said to be around 5 or 6 years old. So it said that she resides upstairs in the attic of the Sun Inn, and I know I didn't really experience anything upstairs in the attic, but down in one of our museum rooms, it's called the Martha Washington Suite. It resembles a bedroom of a suite that where the upper class would have stayed back in the colonial times at the Sun Inn. And we had, what is the term of the...
We had the K2 meter going off.
The K2 meter.
We got a number of EVPs. And do you remember, we were in that room, that place is always tidy, right?
Yes.
And there's candles in every single window,
yes.
right? And we went out of the room because that little girl, like, the K2 meter was going off, but, like, low to the ground.
Yeah.
Not on the ground, but low to the ground, like, almost like the height of a child.
Following it around.
And we were kind of following her around. And she let us out. She was kind of, like, showing us around. Kind of seemed like.
It seemed like that, yeah.
And when we got back to that room, all of a sudden, the lights in the windows were off, and the bed was messed up.
And like a little backstory about the lights is they're all on timers throughout the whole building. They all go on at the same time. They all go off at the same time. So to turn around and see just that room with the lights off was like...
weird.
Really spooky, yeah. And then the bed looked like someone was just
someone just like got in the bed a little bit, and
yeah.
It's so weird.
Because looked one way before we left, looked different when we came back in. So that was definitely the most intense ghost encounter I've had. So
the Sun Inn was always a hotel, I guess, right? Was it a bed and breakfast or hotel?
So it was a little bit of both. I know that the Sun Inn had some long-term guests, so in that instance, they would have had their own innkeeper. They would have the innkeeper would have prepared their meals for them, cleaned their rooms, chamber pots, all those things.
And this was considered like luxury style living.
So you actually there were luxurious suites that just a little notable guests that have stayed at the Sun Inn throughout the years of it being an inn. George Washington, Martha Washington, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Sam Adams. The list goes on and on. So there were floors of that would have been made into suites. It would have been 2 bedrooms, a living room, and like I said, you would have had your own innkeeper that kind of took care of you while you were staying there. But as you would go higher up into the Sun Inn, those kind of would have been for your lower class citizens that weren't necessarily looking for anything luxurious. It was just somewhere to rest your head for the night. I'm pretty sure it slept 4 people to a bed. They would sleep like head to toe with their luggage in their arms. It was just really somewhere to sleep before they kept moving on their journey wherever they were headed out of Bethlehem.
Right.
Cool. Interesting.
And why don't you go into a little bit of the backstory of kind of why it's haunted? For those of you who want more information, you can watch the episode on our YouTube channel. It's awesome. But just a brief backstory, like I remember it was used as a hospital at one point.
Yeah.
And there was like a makeshift jail downstairs.
Yeah, so now this is all hearsay. These are just stories that have been passed down through the people that have worked at the Sun Inn and so forth. And it's said that 2 of our ghosts are a mother and daughter, Sarah and I can't remember the mother's name right off the top of my head right now. But the mom was a nurse during the war, and she was actually sentenced to death. She was hung for taking in soldiers and helping them, nursing them back to health from the other side. So it was said that her husband, who actually took care of the jail cells that were makeshift jail cells down in the basement of, that is now the basement of the Sun Inn, actually told on his own wife, and so she was killed for treason back then. It was said that the daughter succumbed to natural illnesses, pneumonia, the flu, something along those lines, and I'm not positive how the dad died, but it said that the third ghost is the dad, the same dad that told on his wife about taking in the soldiers. And it says that he's the one that resides in the basement and kind of haunts and hangs out downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
I know, just hearing from guests from working there for so many years now, that people do tend to feel the most sense of eeriness when they are heading down into the basement or downstairs in the basement.
We definitely felt that when we were there.
Yeah.
And there was some creepy stuff going on. We heard some weird, loud noises.
Yeah.
The one noticeable EVP, it was not a man, it was definitely female. So maybe the nurse wife was coming down to yell at her husband or something. But remember, we were in the bathrooms down there.
Right.
And I was like, can you turn the sinks on? And she's like, how does this get on? Like, obviously they wouldn't know.
Yeah, something.
They're not from this time. And I just thought it was really cool. It's such a cool yet tragic story.
Definitely.
So what is the Sun Inn now?
So the Sun Inn now, it's a museum, it's a restaurant, it's a tavern. Christmas City Spirits distillery exclusively sells their bottles out of the Sun Inn as well. It's an event center. That's what I do at the tavern. I'm the event coordinator there at the tavern. So they really preserve something that has so much history into something that's really beautiful and fun to be a part of now.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job preserving everything. I mean, it looks like it did back in the day. They took care of everything. They did it in such a nice way. And the restaurant's great, by the way. Obviously, the bartenders are wonderful. The food is fantastic. So if you're in Bethlehem, highly suggest go check out the part that's a museum as well.
The museum's free. It's a self-guided tour. A lot of the staff is super knowledgeable as well, so they never mind answering any questions. If they're able to, they'll definitely take a few minutes and talk to you about any of the history going on there.
Yeah, and then get a meal and a drink at the tavern at the Sun Inn, because it's wonderful. And say hi to Bree.
Yeah, definitely. Come say hi.
Well, thank you for all that, and you are amazing at what you do.
Oh,
so
thank
you
you.
for that.
Thank
and thanks
you,
again
of
for being
course.
on that episode of Ghost Encounters at the Sun Inn, and thanks for getting me in there. That was so much fun.
Yeah, we did have so much fun.
Great. And when we were there, so I don't know if you all know this, but Ghost Hunters, the show, was actually at the Sun Inn a couple of years ago, and they caught a figure on their thermal camera in the attic. And when we were there, I also caught a figure on my thermal camera in the attic. Really cool. I mean, you can see it clear as day. It's a person. There's a head, there's shoulders, there's arms. And it was just the two of us up there, and there's nothing up there but storage.
Yeah.
Just tables and chairs.
Chairs.
So I thought that was pretty cool that two separate groups at separate times caught something similar in the same place.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty neat, something special.
Yeah. So Bree had this idea. She wanted to be on the podcast, and she wanted to talk about dreams. Nightmares, lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, all these weird things that have to do with dreams. So this is a Spectral Dreams podcast episode. In the realm of lucid dreaming, where the boundaries between consciousness and the ethereal are blurred, lies a sinister corridor teeming with nightmares. As the veil of sleep descends, unsuspecting dreamers are unwittingly drawn into a chilling dance with their darkest fears. Within this twisted domain, the shadows writhe with malevolence, their haunting whispers echoing through the endless abyss. Nightmarish apparitions materialize, their ghastly visages contorting with each flicker of lucidity. Helplessly trapped in this surreal symphony of terror, the dreamer navigates through a labyrinth of twisted corridors, where every step breeds uncertainty. Time wraps, reality bends, and the line between dream and reality disintegrates into a chilling creation of the macabre. The specters of their subconsciousness, fueled by the awareness of the dream, reveal in their newfound power, tormenting their captive prey with a sadistic glee. In this realm of lucid dreaming and nightmares, even the most intrepid souls find themselves ensnared, grappling with the true nature of their fears, forever haunted by the lingering echoes of their darkest dreams. So I thought it'd be fun for us to discuss some dreams, nightmares, lucid dreaming, and sleep paralysis that we have actually experienced. I guess I can kind of go first and talk about one that really sticks out in my head. The one time I had sleep paralysis. This was back when I was younger and I was still living at my parents' house. This was in my bedroom. I was dreaming, but I was in my bedroom in bed. So I was literally in the same exact spot I was while I was dreaming, right? Mm-hmm. And this weird shadowy figure comes into my room, and I froze. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything but stare directly at this weird shadowy figure as it moved close to me. And it had nothing but like white glowing eyes. I could see a line for some kind of a mouth. And it wasn't like, it's very hard to describe. It was definitely shadowy, but it also had sharp features. And this thing just got close to me. It was still smiling, kept getting closer and closer, and I'm just frozen, laying in bed as I see this thing. And it reaches out with its arm, and it had these very long, pointy fingers. Like it almost had like 8 fucking knuckles.
Oh my god.
And it just reaches out, and its index finger points out at me, and it touches my forehead and moves its finger down my face, down my nose, across my mouth, down my chin, and it's like inches from my face.
That's so
I couldn't move, yell, I couldn't do anything but watch it, and then I woke up in the same position I just was, looking at this thing, and it was gone.
That's scary as fuck.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And I was young. I don't remember how old I was, maybe 14, 15. But yes, I have seen this shadowy figure again in dreams. It didn't come close to me like that before, and I wasn't in bed when I've seen it, but it's usually the same thing. And I guess the best way to describe it is another dream that I had actually not too long ago, I would say about a month or two ago, where I was again back at my parents' house. But this time I was in the basement. But I knew it was my parents' house basement, but it was different. The layout was slightly different. There was like an extra room, but I knew it was their basement. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And I knew something weird was going on. The lights went on and off, and I knew there was something down there with me, but I couldn't see it, right? And this time I decided, you know what? I'm going to confront this fucking thing. So I went looking for it, even though like I could feel the terror within me of coming close to this thing. And then I saw it. So I was in a room that didn't exist before looking for this thing. Lights went on and off. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to find this thing. You know, kind of mentality. But I was still scared as shit inside. And I go out of that room, and across the way, there's another doorway that went up to the stairs. And by the way, there's no doorway that's actually there. It's just the stairs that go down the basement. But now there's a doorway there. And this thing peered out of the doorway, looked at me, and then went upstairs. So I ran after it. And I tried to scream. I would try to yell at it, like yell at a name or curse at it, but I couldn't yell. I couldn't. And that's one thing that I definitely cannot do in my dreams. No matter how hard I try, I cannot yell in my dreams.
What the heck?
I can't. I want to yell. There's always situations where I have to yell, or I need to yell, or I want to yell, but I cannot yell. It will not let me. And that's maybe it's because I'm sleeping and I physically can't yell, you know? But, I don't know, can you yell in your dreams?
Yeah, I can.
You can?
Yeah, I can. I definitely can. I've bitched some people out.
Like, it's almost as if, like, all of a sudden, I have no breath, I have no voice, it just will not work.
Yeah, like, in nightmares, I definitely can yell, because there have been times where I've, like, woke myself up.
From yelling?
Talking, and, yeah. So, I definitely can.
Bree?
I think I definitely can yell in my dreams, but there's other things that I can't do in dreams. Like if I need to run, like it's like my legs.
Yeah, running
like
is always...
I like can't pick up my legs. It's like the craziest things. Or just like small, simple tasks like are never ending. Like I never get a task done.
Yes, you and I were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
Where
This baffles me.
These
We
nightmares.
were just talking about this. This baffles me.
These nightmares that I have, there's always a task, and I can't complete the task.
Yeah.
And one of these tasks of mine is always trying to dial 911. I had to dial it for a reason. Someone's injured. There's an intruder in my house. I don't know why I decided to go to that instead of grab my gun, but there's a reason I had to dial 911, and I can't. I dial 611, 511, or if I dial 911, I'm like, great, yay, help! And then it's either a dead tone or it just hangs up, nothing happens.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that's because I've never really dialed 911 before, or I subconsciously know, like, hey, you shouldn't dial 911 for no reason.
Oh,
I don't know.
I never thought of it that way. I've never had to, like... My dreams are very weird. Like, if I'm in a predicament in my dream... Like, if my dream's naturally flowing and I'm doing my thing in my dream, if it goes to a place where I don't want it to go, I switch it. Switch my dream.
Yeah.
So I never hit that point where I have to freak out or I don't have nightmares that often. Because if I don't like the way my nightmare's going, or like my dream is going, I'm switching it. It's going to a completely different, like I'll be going up the stairs, I know it gets like in a dream, if I'm going up the stairs and it gets dark and gloomy and I know something is like, I feel that something is going the wrong way, I'll open that door and I'll free fall, start flying somewhere else. You know what I mean? I completely switch
That's
the dynamic.
Crazy.
Yeah. All the
so
time.
you kind of know you're dreaming?
Yeah,
all the time.
You're lucid dreaming.
Almost all the time.
Wow.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, like an avid
So
lucid dreamer.
you're lucid dreaming and controlling your dreams almost.
All the time. There's not really that many dreams that I can remember after I wake up that I'm not fully aware that I'm asleep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have lucid dream a couple of times, and I'll get to that, but back to Bree, what tasks usually do you have that you just can't complete, or it's like this never-ending loop of trying to get it done?
It's
so
not
bizarre.
like it's not
so
like
weird to me.
necessarily like a certain task versus like a different task. But and the last like dream I had that I remember it wasn't a nightmare or anything. I was like back in college, but like in a house I never lived in college, but I was surrounded by like the same people, and we were getting ready to go out, and like I couldn't find a pair of jeans. Like it just like seems so silly.
It
seems so silly, but like
at least that's a nice one, and not you're in danger.
And like I just like remember like the whole like day going on, and I like still wasn't ready for
right, it
the
feels
day.
like the entire day's going on. You still
would
cannot.
I would wake up and be so
like,
mad that I
was
just wasted my dream
frustrating.
looking for dreams.
It's so frustrating.
Right. Looking for jeans.
Yeah, or like just something like so simple like that, or if I like
that's crazy.
or if I for some reason needed to run, like I can't, like my legs like will be
I feel like it's kind of a common one. Like people
Yeah.
just can't run just because their legs are literally asleep.
See, I'm a weird, like, I don't think I ever need to run, because I'm like, this is going to sound really weird. I'm like an avid flyer in my dream. Like, I am like, breathe underwater, like, fly around.
I've
like,
breathed underwater.
Jump
up
really
and
high.
away.
Like, I'm like a superhero in my dreams.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think I've
fun.
ever really had to, I have to pay attention more. I don't think I've ever, like, had to run. I'm going to try to run tonight.
That's crazy. Yeah, try to run tonight. Let me know what happens.
Yeah.
But another
I'll let
one
you
I get stuck in is I'm back in high school, and no, we're not drinking. I'm late for class, and I can't find class. But it feels like I'm looking for class for like 2 hours. Obviously, another class is going to happen, but I'm still looking for the class.
Yeah,
and
you're spending your whole dream on this
looking
like,
for this
a
class,
silly little task,
and I can't do it.
It
It's
is
so
a frustrating
like-
to wake up to.
Yeah,
You're
because
like,
you're
what
like,
a
what
boring
the fuck?
dream.
Like, I can't believe I just, like, slept
Yeah.
thinking about that the whole time, or doing that the whole
and
time.
it's actually like stressful.
Yeah.
Like
It
you're
is.
stressed out in your dream.
So stressed out.
See, like, if my dream was going that way, I would have jeans on. Like, as soon as I thought about it, my
Like,
jeans would be on my body. I'd be
like,
out the door going to do what I got to do.
Boom, you're in class.
Yeah, like, my dream would not be that way. My dream would be, like, me
That's
acting
crazy.
like an asshole, doing something fun, you know? Like, I don't have that task thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
As we're talking about this stuff, let us know some of the things that you've experienced in your dreams, those of you who are listening. If you've had similar situations, tasks that you can't do, things you can and can't do in your dreams, message us, send us an email. I would love to hear what you have to say and what you can and can't do in your dreams. I think it'd be really interesting. So as we're talking about this stuff, write in, let us know.
Yeah.
Speaking about writing in, just a side note, we need spooky fan stories, so you better send in your damn spooky fan stories.
Yeah, we need them.
We need some.
Me being curious, side note, just because I'm interested, do you guys sleep, like, do you guys have, like, a normal sleep schedule? Like, do you go to sleep at, like, a certain time and you stay asleep for 6 hours? Or 8 hours? Are you that kind of sleeper?
I kind of go to bed at different times, depending on what's going on. Sometimes.
But do you sleep, like, throughout the whole night?
Yes, very rarely do I actually wake up.
Okay. Are you that way, too?
So, I struggle with sleep, so I generally will, like, take a sleep aid to go to bed.
Okay.
Which...
That could be main reason why you don't lucid dream.
Probably. And I've tried to, like, the different...
I know
methods.
that you don't sleep right because you text me
I'll text
and
you at, like,
I will literally be awake
morning.
at work and I'm like, why is she awake?
And it's because I probably slept from like 11 to 4:30.
Okay. See,
Which
that's
isn't
where
like
I'm
the
getting
worst
at. No.
like sleep ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I get up to like use the bathroom like anyone
we're
else.
women. We pee every 5 seconds. But that's what I was getting at. Kind of, my sleep schedule is very weird. So I go home, I take my 2.5 hour nap, and then I go to bed probably around like 10:30, 11, wake up at 3:30. So, like, my sleep schedules are broken up.
Right.
So I wonder if because I just go into probably REM sleep really quickly, and I'm in between REM sleep and being awake, because I'm probably never fully, like, completely asleep.
Right.
Maybe that has something to do with the fact that I could lucid dream more than the average person. I don't know. I don't know. Just throwing it out there, because that's where my mind goes, like, more like a explanation.
Yeah.
I always need an explanation.
Yes, you do. Group scientist.
Bam, that's me.
But back to flying. I've flown a couple times in my dreams. But one thing I do a lot is, I'd call it levitate. And the best way I could describe it is, I'm going to think of Magneto from X-Men.
Yeah.
I can kind of just put my arms out and glide along.
Yeah.
You know?
Taylor never flew in her dreams. She always gets mad when I talk about
I
flying.
don't think I've ever flown in a dream.
Never?
No.
One dream
I'm
that comes to
sad.
mind that, like, I was young. For some reason, I still remember it. I was bouncing a bouncy ball, like a basketball or something like that. Like one of those, like, weird plasticky ones that, like, they're not a basketball, obviously. You can get them at, like, Walmart. And I was bouncing it, and then all of a sudden it bounced, but it kept going up. So that's like something I used to have panic attacks about, where, like, gravity stops and we just all fly up into the abyss of nothingness. Yeah. So I knew at that point that my dream was going south. So I jumped to see if I would also come back, because, naturally I have to test it. And I kept going up. But then the fact that I didn't like how that dream was going, where I knew it was going to hit nightmare status, I looked up and I was attached to, like, balloons. And I was able to travel by balloons.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, like, that's, like, one of my things that I do almost in every dream.
So I've
Never had a nightmare.
No. I had, but, like, it's weird because, like, I have weird dreams, like, horror dreams, but it never hits the point where I'm like, holy shit, I'm scared for my life. You know what I mean? Like, it never hits that point. Like, literally
even
the
the
other
two
day.
dreams that I'm thinking of that I know you've had.
Yeah.
You weren't, like, scared for your life or anything like that?
No. It's weird. It's like I'm comfortable because I feel like I know it's not real. Like, I know that I'm dreaming.
You know you're dreaming, you know it's not real, so
it's not scary. Like, the other night, I had a dream. I texted Taylor because I have a huge dream catcher on my wall. You guys probably have seen it in my Snapchats. I woke up and flipped it off because I was so pissed at this dream. And
how dare you allow this dream?
Yeah, it was like, I had this dream where, like, somebody, like, it almost reminded me of, like, a party at my house, and somebody was, like, crawling on the floor, weird. No. So I was like, is this person okay? And they, like, raked up this person's body and pulled out a knife and just cut this person's throat.
That's
and
terrifying.
then, boom, I woke up. Like, immediately I was like, not today. Woke up, and then I flipped off my dream catcher. I was like, fuck you. You're supposed to protect me from dreams. And now I got these weird-ass dreams.
But you weren't, like, scared during that?
No.
Because you're like, this is just a dream.
Yeah, because, like, I
but
knew.
Why am I dreaming about this?
Yeah, that's, like, I wake up and I'm like, of all things to dream about, what did I look up before I went to bed? Because I do watch a lot of cop stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I wonder if, like, maybe I was watching, like, an arrest video.
You do like the true crime stuff.
And, like, maybe that's why, but, like, it's just so weird that
What about...
it went that direction.
Can you talk about the nightmare you've had with the kid with the blown off half of his head?
Oh, so there was, like, I want to say this was right around the time, right before you did like a little mini investigation for Megan Galley.
Right.
So it was like a couple weeks before that, but like I was having series of like almost the same dream. Like I was in the same place, but there was different people in the dream.
See, I find that fascinating about you too. Not to go off topic for a second, but you have this ability to have the same kind, I'm not going to say the same exact, the same kind of dream over and over and over again, like in a row.
Yeah, it was like
I've had
days.
similar dreams, but not consecutively like you've had.
Yeah,
But what happened? What went on with the boy?
And it starts the same way. So like I was walking, it's almost like everything's dark. And then there's this one opening, and you walk through this opening, and then you're at like this, I guess like a motel, because it almost reminded me of pictures of like a prison, like where you have the doors on 2 different levels,
right.
And then the top level has that like weird like metal like
walkway?
Railing, like a railing thing.
Yeah.
So I'm down on the main floor, and I'm walking through, and as I walk into the dream, people are coming out of their rooms, and you start to notice as they walk towards the railing that something is clearly wrong with every single one of them. So like the one that you're talking about, the kid had half of its face, so like gory as hell, but I'm not terrified because I'm interested in why are these people here? Who are these people? Because normally you're not supposed to be able to dream of random people. This is supposed to be people that you've seen before.
Right.
So then like I will be like engaging in conversation as to what happened to you. Why are you this way? Like, you know, me being like really analytical, picking apart somebody that has half of a head. You know what I mean? But then it would go into more people coming down to where I'm talking to somebody and they want to talk. So then it was almost like, is this like medium shit?
I was
like, you know
just
what I
gonna
mean? Like,
say that. Are
like,
these spirits visiting you in your dreams because they want
that's
to
what
talk
I was
to you?
thinking at one point, but then they stopped, and I haven't had that dream like since that week that I had it, because then it was like the next night I would take a nap later in the day or whatever, and it would be a new person, like somebody that was clearly looks like they drowned, or somebody that clearly looks like they took too many pills and, you know, OD'd, or
This is like
you
Sixth
know,
Sense kind of shit.
Yeah, so the weirdest one was he was like a little boy, and it was weird because he had an ice cream cone. I shouldn't laugh. And an ice cream cone in his hand. He had like a striped shirt on and a baseball cap backwards, but he had a huge knife sticking out his forehead.
Oh shit.
So like it's just like weird, just like a weird like Motel of Dead that I kept dreaming about, and then all of a sudden I just didn't dream about it anymore.
That's interesting.
And instead of like when you ask them like what happened, instead of them like answering, just someone else like is like,
I want to
hey,
know.
what's up?
Yeah, like you don't really get
you never
like,
get an answer.
No, you don't get like full answers. Like they're not like, and then when they would talk to you, it was almost like it was like you were underwater. So like they were like washed out. So they couldn't really say like, I died by this, I died by that. Like it's like almost as if they had to show you how they were dead, because you can't talk to them in that way.
Which is kind of how mediums describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is why when we went to the investigation for our friend, I was like, I'm having these weird dreams. Like, I don't know why this is happening all of a sudden. Like, blah, 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 blah. And then I was, like, concerned, like, is that going to be the norm for me? Are they going to start not being in my dreams? Am I going to see them on the street?
They're just going to be in your head.
So, like, I wanted to see if that was going to be a possibility for me, but obviously that never happened.
Interesting. I think you should hone in on that and see
I
if you
agree.
can do that again.
I think it'd be cool.
Interesting. I mean,
Fun
since
to
you know you're sleeping. Which,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I've only ever known I was sleeping, I would say maybe 10, 15 times in my life. And most of the time when I know I'm dreaming, usually I wake up shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why I always go to the same thing. I either like, all right, I'm dreaming, so I'm going to fly. Or I go to, I'm going to steal a sports car and go really fast. Because I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I don't know why those are my go-to things, but that's...
Yeah.
No consequences in the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
So
No consequences.
why
You can do
not?
whatever you want. Just like in Inception. Do whatever you want.
Right.
And the one thing I always find so interesting is that how weird dreams actually are. Now, Jordan knows she's dreaming.
Yeah.
That's different. But for people who don't know you're dreaming, the dreams are so weird and there's so many things that are wrong, but you don't pick up on things that are wrong or weird until you wake up. And there's a quote from the movie Inception that I think explains it best, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character says, "Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange." And isn't that strange in itself?
Yeah.
Like, you'd think seeing a shadow figure or dead people or weird things happening, or you can't find genes, or whatever it may be, whether how small or crazy the situation is, you don't realize something's weird or strange or messed up until you wake up.
I do get sleep paralysis though. I've openly talked about that a couple times, but like I have a love-hate relationship with my sleep paralysis demon. Like we actively know each other.
So who or what do you see when you have sleep paralysis? What happens?
My sleep paralysis demon, whatever you want to call it, is like, do you know Spirited Away?
Yes.
It's like the anime movies. So you know that like the one with like the white mask?
Yeah.
It's almost like that, but not as big.
Okay.
And ovally. It's just its face. So like it has like eyes and like white on its face. It's the most weirdest thing. But the very first time I had sleep paralysis was at my mom's house. I think I fell asleep like when I was sick or something like that. And that's why when I like was dreaming, I was like, I know that it's because I took like sleep aid. So I was like, I didn't really like freak out. The only reason I freaked out was because it was the first dream that I've ever had where I can't move. So like I'm in my bedroom sleeping. For some reason though, which is one of the main reasons why I figured out I wasn't awake, was that I was on the other side of the bed. I sleep to the wall. So I was on the outside of the bed. And I remember I was trying to open my eyes to wake up. And they kept closing because I was obviously tired. And there was an outline of like a shadow person at the door. So the door slowly opened and showed me the shadow person. And then they progressively started walking closer and closer and closer. And that's how I noticed that they had like the white face, whatever you want to call it. And I was so pissed because I couldn't move to fight this thing. So I remember feeling like pins and needles and like trying to break out of it so bad. And then all of a sudden I woke up and I sat up, and at the time Jeff was with me and he's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what did you do? I'm like, yo, I'm about to fight a demon coming in my dream. Like, like no idea what it was until like I spoke to Paige about it, my sister, who has sleep paralysis issues. But then after that, every single time it's the same fucking thing, and it's just a little different. Like when I moved out, it was walking into my room and it did this like weird little crab walk towards me on the side of the bed, and just as it was getting close, I remember being like pissed, and I said like, if I get out of this, I'm gonna fuck you up type shit, because I was pissed that I couldn't move, because that now was the second time that I was having sleep paralysis. And
this little crab walker,
yeah, it was so creepy.
Pissing me off.
So creepy, because then he comes like really close to your face, like
haha,
you can't move.
Right to my face.
Yeah, it made me so mad that like right before I woke up, I was like, fuck you, And then like the same thing happened where like I jolted myself awake, and I could finally move. But it's weird because when I'm going through the sleep paralysis, I feel like my body is pins and needles. Like every fiber of my being is like
almost
in and out,
like when
static.
your foot or hand falls asleep. Is
yes.
that kind of okay?
Yeah. So like I'm actively trying to move, but it hurts.
Yes.
So it's like I have to break out of it.
Gotcha.
Like really weird.
But it's so crazy how almost everyone who has sleep paralysis or experiences sleep paralysis sees some kind of, I guess, quote unquote, evil or dark entity.
Yeah.
Like a demon or a devil or something. Like, I understand why they think someone's sitting on their chest or pushing them down, because you have that heaviness on your chest.
Yeah.
But to actually physically see some kind of entity in your room, but almost everyone experiences that.
My last sleep paralysis dream that I had just recently, because I've only had the 3 with the same stupid little demon, it was, for some reason, I don't know why, I was at like a camp shop or something, and I was in a sleeping bag. So I don't know if I got like trapped or something, but I was in the sleeping bag, living my best life. Then all of a sudden I knew something was happening, because I went back and then couldn't move. And then the sleeping bag string went really tight.
Oh, fuck that.
So only my
Really?
eyes were out. So as my eyes are out, little sleep paralysis demon pokes its head over.
Oh,
no, stop.
shit.
That's a
So
literal
I'm
nightmare.
like, yo, but I'm mad now because you just fucked up my dream. Like, I'm mad now. So I remember that dream being like, if I get out the sleeping bag, you're dead. You're dead. Because I was pissed because I was having such a fun dream in the camp shop. Like, I remember I was actively enjoying this dream. And it was weird because as I was trying to break out of like the pins and needles feeling, he was bobbing back and forth almost like a Jack in the Box.
Ooh.
And it was so creepy, and then I woke up, but then I wasn't really that scared because I was like, I'm getting used to this now, god damn it, pissed off. But that was the last sleep paralysis I've had, and that was probably like 2 years ago.
Interesting. To me, that's pretty scary to have in your dream.
But it's like weird because like I'm not like, there are people that have such bad sleep paralysis where they're absolutely traumatized by the things that happen to them and everything like that. But it's almost as if like I'm not there. Like, like I'm like halfway there, and then I like can kind of snap myself out of the panic or something. I don't know. Yeah. But I don't like that I can't move, that's for sure. Like I get mad.
It's terrifying, I think, but
I think I would full-blown spiral if that was my
Have
dream.
you ever had sleep paralysis?
No, and thank goodness.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what they call sleep paralysis in Newfoundland?
I'm scared.
Attack of old hag.
Oh.
Well,
So it's like an
there you
old
go.
witch lady holding you
Sounds
down.
about right.
Yeah. And in China, they call it ghost oppression.
Hmm.
Which I think is weird. So across the globe, people,
Struggle with
experience,
this stuff, yeah.
Creepy things when they have sleep paralysis.
It's crazy.
And throughout decades, people have experienced this, Some other strange things. I know some people, don't dream in color. I dream in color. Do you dream in color?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
I do.
I would be miserable if I didn't dream in
right?
color.
But I guess
vividly dream in color.
12% of people dream in black and white.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah. Only once have I dreamt in cartoon because I was watching way too much Family Guy, and I had a Family Guy dream.
Like everyone in your life were just Family Guy.
It was just Family Guy.
That is so funny.
I guess it was probably more like I was watching Family Guy, but there's no TV or anything. I was just in Family Guy.
Live action.
Watching what was going on. Have you had any weird, funny things like that?
No.
I know a lot of people can't read,
animation.
but I don't really have a problem reading in my dreams.
I
can read a clock. I can read my phone.
I don't think I can read. I think that's like another one of the tasks that I know in real life I clearly can read, but I can't.
I never noticed that until I watched this episode of Teen Wolf, and Styles in the show couldn't read, and he said in the show oh, you can't read in your dreams. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
That's
I
not
can.
true. So sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes I'll look down and my stuff will be in code, and I'll be like, nah, give me the book, give me what I want, and then it'll change, and then I'll be able to sing, I'll be able to read, I'll be able to do the things that normal people are apparently not supposed to be able to do.
I can't read new things. I can read things I always read. A clock, so easy for me to read. My phone, I can read.
Yeah.
Things that I see every day, I can read. If it's a new, I don't know, once I think there was a book or something laying down, it just a jumbled mess. But things I read every day, I can read no problem. It's
You're not. Apparently, you're not supposed to be able to sing in your dreams either, or be able to hold a tune.
That probably goes with the yelling and things like that. But you can
But I can
yell in
sing,
your dreams.
I can sing and yell in my dreams.
So we just got a side note from Paige,
Sorry.
who's been on,
Sorry.
and I guess apparently some people have extra fingers and limbs in their dreams.
When I was
I've
doing
never had that.
research, it said that one way to recognize that you're dreaming is to start counting your fingers, because you'll never get to 5 because you'll just continuously grow
So again,
fingers.
an endless loop of some kind of a task.
And that is a way, and that it said that that's a good way to begin lucid dreaming is oh, you can recognize this is a dream because I can't count my fingers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
You should, yeah.
Just have to.
Lucid dreaming can be scary though, because you're
I'm
am
actually-
I stuck?
I'm
Sometimes
kinda
you're is this
terrified.
ever gonna end?
Yeah,
you know?
imagine just being stuck in a never-ending nightmare.
Based off of some of the stories I read, I'm kind of scared to lucid dream, honestly.
It's just crazy,
But maybe I just can't handle me feeling I'm in something that's potentially scary.
Yeah.
I just want to avoid that altogether.
Yeah.
I did get to talk, so I had, this one drink, because we had a conversation about this, we knew that we were going to have this podcast, and Bree told me some of the stuff that she wanted to talk about, and then I actively tried to make up a person in my dream, and, it was where I was on a street, and I went up to them, and I said, why are we here? What are we doing? Walked away. Didn't want to acknowledge it at all. Couldn't answer why they were walking down the street. didn't want to.
Huh.
Just looked at me, looked away, kept walking. Like, they don't, like... So, like, I know I'm asleep, but it's almost as if in my dreams, obviously, it's not... They're not supposed to know that it's not real.
Right.
So, like, they can't answer. Like, I've never gotten answers.
But it's crazy how, like, we think of these other people or beings as real. But they're not. It's just made up in your head.
Yep.
But what if it's, like, an altered state of consciousness and you're traveling between realms or something?
Yeah. Like,
That's where that's where dreams start to like fuck me up a little bit, because
Right?
when
It's a
you
scary
start to
thought process.
really
Yeah.
think into it, and that's why I thought this topic would be so like interesting.
It is
Because like
interesting.
when you really get into it, you're like, what if?
Maybe we should have smoked before the
We can.
Well, on that note,
Kidding.
we're going to take a quick break. And don't worry, we're not going to fall asleep on you, but we'll be right back. The Spooky Shop is now open for Ghost Encounters merch. Visit ghost-encounters.com and click on Spooky Shop. This episode is brought to you by The Colony Meadery. If you haven't tried mead yet, it's alcohol made from honey, and it's the fastest growing alcoholic beverage in the United States. It's all natural, totally gluten-free, and delicious. And one of the best meaderies in the world is right here in the Lehigh Valley. Stop in and try a flight of meads, grab some bottles or cans to go, and experience some of the best booze in the world. They've got flavors ranging from tart and quaffable lemon laws and Wu-Tang Cran to cinnamon vanilla series of tubes and even the sweet heat of their mango habanero. Learn more at either location or at colonymeadery.com. Ghost Encounters podcast and show is sponsored by Phoenix Fire Media. Bring the heat to your online presence with their expert social media marketing, photography, and video productions. Visit phoenixfiremedia.com. If all you spooky people are enjoying the Ghost Encounters podcast, hit subscribe and give us 5 stars. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Ghost Encounters PA. To watch full episodes of the Ghost Encounters show, visit ghost-encounters.com. And we are awake. I talked about what if dreams were like going into a different dimension or reality. In 2009, scientists did a study and they discovered that the brainwaves of people who lucid dream were different than regular dreamers. And they concluded that this dream phase is actually an altered state of consciousness. Even the ancient Egyptians were very attuned to dreaming, and especially lucid dreams, believing they were messages from the gods. They even had trained seers that would advise on state matters and military strategy. Like many other ancient peoples, many Native American cultures viewed the dream space as a sacred place, one where a person could step outside the bounds of the mundane existence and connect with a more universal consciousness. Tibetan Buddhists tried to lucid dream and practiced what they called dream yoga. They believed that this state can help them reach other planes of existence and speak with enlightened beings.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Right? But there's this common thing that these ancient civilizations had thought that dreams were actually speaking to gods or going into other dimensions and realities and getting info from this lucid dream state. I thought it was pretty cool.
That is cool. Very
Something to
interesting.
think about. Like, it's crazy. I mean, the thought of dreaming and the detail that's in them, it's kind of crazy. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of something to think about. What if dreaming is something like that?
I mean, they had like whole people to advise them. Like,
Yeah.
humans that just dreamed and were like, this
Dedicated
is what
to
you
this.
should do.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
There is a concern to lucid dreaming, and it's something known as dream claustrophobia. It's when someone becomes lucid in a nightmare and are unable to escape or manipulate the situation.
That's
so
terrifying.
not like Jordan. Jordan,
That
you can go in and
happens
out
to me, I'm gonna be
and
mad.
change it.
That never should happen to me.
Yeah. But I guess there are people that have been stuck in these nightmares and cannot escape them.
That's
That'd be terrifying.
terrifying.
Like Freddy Krueger shit.
That's absolutely
That's-
terrifying.
And of course, sleep paralysis. Since your body is paralyzed but your mind is lucid, you might want to wake up and move your body, but you can't. The helplessness involved stirs up intense feelings of terror. And this feeling, a lot of people experience like this weight on their chest, like somebody's holding them down or sitting on their chest. And I remember when we were talking about the Hat Man, that there's this huge connection to sleep paralysis and people seeing the Hat Man.
Like almost everybody that has seen the Hat Man has been either going through sleep paralysis or is somebody that repeatedly has that problem.
Yeah.
With sleep
Which
paralysis.
I think is crazy. It's
Yeah.
like everyone's so different and from different cultures and from different parts of the world, but yet they all see
the same thing.
the same thing. So we have this like interconnection with each other. Maybe this, like these other
Which makes you think,
civilizations.
like, is it a different dimension then at that point?
Or is
like,
it
how else would everyone be linked via a dream?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If not-
Yeah. That's like a snowball.
Have you ever
It's like
You're
really
just like,
spiraled
wow.
thinking of that. You
Have you,
really
ever,
can.
have you ever heard this thing where, you didn't dream because you were in someone else's dream?
Or like when you dream of someone, that means like they were thinking about you too.
Yeah.
Like kind of the
Crazy
same.
to think about, too.
Yeah.
So, Brie, I know you were trying to lucid dream, but unfortunately couldn't. But
Can't.
what kind of stuff did you come up with when you were doing like research and things like that?
So I just was kind of floating on the internet, TikTok, YouTube, things like that. Just kind of listening to other people's stories about lucid dreaming and kind of going back to the dream claustrophobia where people are like unable or to manipulate a situation. I'll have to go back and find her name. It was a TikTok I was watching and she was telling her story about lucid dreams where she fully dreamed for 40 years of her life and was like still aware. She was aware that she was dreaming the entire time but couldn't get herself out of the dream and
So
lived
this
like
is like that
every
dream claustrophobia.
like she dreamed every single day, like 40. She lived an entire lifetime. Like she went to bed
That's
at
crazy.
21 and like dreamed till she was like 60 years old in this dream world.
But is this just over one night?
Yeah, because she woke back up and it was like still the same night.
That
the next
literally
day.
sounds like Inception.
Well,
like
they
how
say
time
that
is
your
different.
dreams. They say that your dreams are probably a total of 20 minutes, but it feels like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or it feels like 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that one was like, I was like, imagine,
Wild.
like, because you do you mourn the loss of your dream life then when you wake up? Like you lived a whole life. What if you had a husband and
Yep,
kids
yep.
and
Yeah.
like
I mean, I've definitely
everything like
experienced
that.
emotions in my dreams, and I woke up like they affected me.
Because,
Yeah.
You know?
like, I was, like, just trying to think, like, you're dreaming, but you're like, I can't get up, so I might as well just, like, live my life anyway, and a whole lifetime goes by. I just thought that was, like,
That
Wild.
would make me...
I would mourn a life
Yeah.
I've lived, essentially.
That would make me, like, question where's real. Like, I feel like I would borderline hallucinate if I had that kind
Yeah.
of dream. Like, wake up and be like, am I actually
Yeah.
awake? Like, or did that actually happen and now I'm pushed back to this? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Are
I
we
wouldn't...
all ever awake?
Right.
Is this the
Like-
Matrix? Are we,
like
any of us
delirium.
unplugged?
Well, it's, like, when I was doing a little bit of research, just looking at, like, what not to do in a lucid dream, it says, like, you shouldn't dream about like real life things in your dreams or like necessarily like real life relationships in your dreams because you can cross the like was this a real memory or did I dream this
yeah.
or like I can't remember if this actually happened or not. So
Right. The one dream that stands out, speaking of this, is I dreamt that my grandfather was still alive, and he was playing with my niece, my brother's daughter, because he never got a chance to meet her.
Aw.
And it affected me when I woke up.
Oh, yeah.
I was in
That
tears
would make me
when I
so
woke
sad.
up.
I would be crying. I would
Yeah.
definitely be crying. That's really sad.
another crazy story that I read about when I was doing some research. This one was on TikTok also, and it was a TikToker by the name of Hannah Brantley on TikTok, and she was dreaming she was in a deserted, like, empty carnival, and surrounded by people that she'd never seen before, which I always find interesting because it's like, if we've never seen them before.
Yeah,
You said you're
yeah.
not supposed to be able to dream
Yeah.
that, but
Right.
is that our subconscious from lives we lived before? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you did see them before?
That's an interesting
Anyway,
take on
Huh.
it.
just a little side note. And she was jumping on a trampoline with a girl. She said she was a blonde girl, and at this point she kind of realized she was dreaming. She realized she was lucid dreaming, so she was just like going along with that. And she asked the girl, like, hey, like, what's the time? I know there's like no clocks around or anything. And the girl's face went from like a completely normal girl to like distorted. Her smile faded immediately. Her face shape changed. Her eyes went from like normal human eyes to very small, beady, bloodshot red eyes, and the whole world like switched. It went from like a nice day, sunny day, people having fun, to like every single human in the dream like turning around, staring at her.
Just broke the boundaries.
Yeah, like it went from like everyone doing their own thing to like every single person in this like carnival turning around, staring at her. And she like, at that moment, she said she felt like actually in danger and like started running. And that's when it was like, you need to wake up. Like she was like, I was like repeatedly like, wake up, wake up, wake up, because in that moment she was like, I actually felt like my life was in danger. Like
That's
my
terrifying.
dream world like
Yeah.
had turned on me at that point.
Yeah.
And then there was one more that I thought was pretty creepy. Again, it was on TikTok, not Mel. And she was with a group of girls, and in her real life, she's 24 years old, but she said she was like back in like high school age, like 16, 17 years old. And she looked at one of the girls she was with, and she's like, do you ever feel like you're living in a past life? And the girl like face went blank and was just like, what do you mean? And not Mel said, in real life I'm 24, but like right now I'm 17. And before she could even like finish her sentence, every person in that room that they were in turned around and looked at her. And that was when she was aware that she was dreaming. So I thought that was interesting, that like she felt like it was a dream all the way up until like everyone in the room kind of turned on her, and the girl looked her in the eyes and was like, okay, now you need to wake up. So
That's
I thought that was
creepy.
like,
that
one gave me chills. Like,
I've had
okay,
dreams
now
like
you
that,
need to wake up. I was like,
where I'm told I have to wake up.
and that's where you feel like different dimension things, like you just crossed a boundary in a world that you're not supposed to ask questions, and like almost makes you feel like we're almost a guest, and like it's in a different world.
We're not. We think it's a comfortable thing, and then you're just like, nah, you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. Gotta go.
Yep.
Kind of like in Inception, when she's starting to change the dream world all around, and like
all the
adjusting
figures in her dream start attacking her.
Start turning around and looking at her. And
I've never seen Inception.
Oh, you have to now. It's such a good movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
really, it's
I
good.
heard that it's like mentally like.
I think you would really
You have
like
to
it.
pay attention.
I
Okay.
think you would like it.
But it's really
it's
good.
phenomenal.
I'll have to give it a try. I feel like I have to now.
I found it on Reddit, and this one was just like, one day he was sitting on a park bench next to a man, a complete stranger, looked over at the man and said, "I'm dreaming," and the man replied, "I know, me too."
That's crazy.
So what if like you're...
That's
I don't know what to say. I don't want to say your soul or anything, but like your state of consciousness is like with someone else's state of consciousness.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're
hey
like,
bro, you're just sitting on a bench together dreaming. It's like, hey, me too.
Yeah,
you know?
me too. It's just like, did our dreams
That's
just
so
collide?
bizarre. Like that's that whole
Yeah.
all those stories. It's just like I can't believe people go through that stuff, because like I don't dream that way.
Yeah, you
I don't know. It's just crazy that these people go through these kinds of things, or if they're like stuck and people change their faces and whatever. You know, when you like call them out, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's scary,
Well,
in my opinion.
On that note, can you, as the group scientists, give us some facts or tell us like what is dreaming and what happens to us when we actually dream?
Yeah, so sleep accounts for 1/4 to 1/3 of the human lifespan, which I thought was crazy.
If it's your sister Paige, it counts for half of her life.
Your brain cycles repeatedly through 2 different types of sleep. So like I said before, REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep, and non-REM sleep. The first part of the cycle is non-REM sleep, which is composed of 4 different stages, which I didn't know there were 4 different stages until
I just knew about 2. REM and the other one.
So the first stage comes between being awake and falling asleep. The second is light sleep, which is like, I feel like what I sleep all the time is
You
light.
wake up from it.
Yeah. When the heart rate and the breathing regulate and the body temperature also drops. The third and fourth stages are deep sleep. Though REM sleep was previously believed to be the most important sleep phase for learning and memory, newer data suggests that non-REM sleep is more important for these tasks, as well as being more restful, which I didn't think that was how it was. So when I'm like reading all this, it's like backwards of like the way that my thought
Right,
process
I
would
always
be
say the
for
same
sleeping.
thing, like, oh, you're sleep deprived and you're stressed and you're gonna hallucinate and have weird dreams.
Yeah,
but
so
the
like
opposite.
it's being more restful and like where you take in more information as you're sleeping.
Speaking of taking information, have you ever had your awakeness kind of seep into your dream? Like someone's calling your name and you hear it in your dream, but then you wake up and someone's actually calling your name?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
This one time, though, I woke up because I heard the smoke alarm. Not the smoke alarm was going off, but like the tone that it gives when the battery's dead. I heard it clear as day. It was loud as hell. I woke up from it, and then I realized that Aurora did not move, my dog. And then
You texted me.
I laid awake to like hear it again, but it never happened. I was like, I know I woke up from it. I heard the
remember you
ping.
texted
It was
me
so
this.
loud, and I woke up because of it. It must have been the one like right outside my bedroom, but there's nothing there.
I think you and I had this conversation because what happened to me was I was dreaming that the fire alarm was going off, and when I woke up it wasn't. And then as I was getting ready for work and I was downstairs, the fire alarms went off like all over the house really quickly, like a couple beeps, and then they turned off. And then I remember I went up to Jeff and I was like, hey, like you gotta wake up, like the fire alarms went off. And he was like, oh, something probably just tripped them. If they're not going off now, don't worry about it. Like didn't give a shit. Me, I'm like, I just dreamt about it. It happened, and now I have to leave to go to work. Like it was just so
like
overwhelming.
premonitions.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's why I remember this story, because that happened to me too.
Yeah.
Something weird.
Yeah.
So weird. So as you go into REM sleep, the eyes move more rapidly, like coins its name, behind the lids, and the brain waves are similar to those during wakefulness. Breathing increases and the body becomes temporarily paralyzed as we dream, which I don't like that either. Like, why do we use the word paralyzed like that?
I mean,
like,
literally, I guess you literally are.
I feel like Taylor sleeps like the dead, and I am like a twitchy little creature. Like
I move all night long.
I move so much.
There's no way I'm paralyzed when I'm
Either
sleeping.
I move a lot or I don't move at all.
But I will literally be asleep almost every night, asleep one way, and I will wake up the next way. And I also like to cuddle. So, like, I know that I actively cuddle people as I'm sleeping.
Interesting. But is there a certain point, level that you do become paralyzed? Are you not paralyzed in the first stage or something like that? Or the last stage? Is it just REM sleep that you're...
I guess, according to my research, it's kind of like that is, like, when people hit the paralyzing.
The deep, deep sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So the cycle then repeats itself. I feel like it's terrifying, like, even learning about sleep. I don't know. the way that they say terms and stuff like that, and after we just had that discussion, I'm like, we're talking paralyzed, we're talking about repeating ourselves and this loop. But with each cycle, you spend less time in the deeper stages 3 and 4, like we said, of sleep, and more time in REM sleep. On a typical night, you'll cycle through this 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow.
During most stages of sleep, the thalamus becomes quiet, letting you tune out the external world. But during REM sleep, the thalamus is active, sending the cortex images, sounds, and other sensations that fill our dreams. Which I think is... Our brain is so
it's so interesting.
cool. Like, learning about the brain is the most coolest thing on the planet. You should definitely do it. We all know about circadian rhythms. And
I don't.
They are controlled by a biological clock located in the brain. One key function of this clock is responding to light cues, ramping up production of a hormone called melatonin, which we know some people have to take to sleep at night, then switching it off when it senses light. People with total blindness often have trouble sleeping because they are unable to detect and respond to these light cues.
I always wondered about that. Always.
I love doing research about how they dream and like the things that they see, because naturally you want to believe that they would see things, but in reality they're just
especially if
dark.
Like,
they're only hearing the things that they're normally like
Right.
used to hearing and everything like that.
I'm so fascinated by that. I'm not being insensitive, but people who have been blind their whole life, if you're listening, I don't know if we have any of those listeners, but or if you know of anyone, what do they have dreams of seeing things,
I think it depends on their situation
is
too.
it darkness and just sounds?
Because like if you're born blind, you don't know what anything looks like.
Anything.
Right.
But if you go blind, you obviously know what things look like even at a young age, so
Right.
your brain can probably
Dream
Still
take
dream
that.
of
Yeah.
it. Right.
Yeah. Sleep drive can also play a key role. Your body craves sleep, much like it hungers for food. Throughout the day, your desire to sleep builds, and then it reaches a certain point and you need to sleep, like me. every day when the clock strikes 2 o'clock. I have to be asleep. A major difference between sleep and hunger is your body can't force you to eat when you're hungry, but when you're tired, it can put you to sleep. Even if you're in a meeting or behind the wheel of a car, when you're exhausted, your body is even able to engage in micro sleep episodes of 1 or 2 seconds while your eyes are open, which I thought was very scary.
I've experienced.
That is just scary.
Yeah, it's scary when you're driving down the highway late at night. But I have experienced that where there's a second, 2 second, 3 seconds of time where I know I was asleep.
Yeah, like you're like, wait.
Someone could even be
just
talking.
passed.
Someone could even be talking to me in the next car's next seat, and I did not listen to the last 2 or 3
I'm not
seconds.
good at driving long distances because I get so tired in the car.
I know I cannot drive tired. It's I've had a few scary episodes. Taylor knows about one of them. Almost hit a fence.
Oh my god!
This was on the way back from where were we? Ocean City, New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
We were at Beer Fest, and we left late at night. And yeah, that happened.
Yeah, Oktoberfest.
A few other instances. So just don't drive tired.
You've all seen me drive.
Really,
you obviously don't want me driving tired.
It really is scary because you literally can just fall asleep no matter what.
Yeah. Yo, for real. Paige just showed me this text message. She's like, Taylor has no room to say anything about anybody because Taylor sleeps with her eyes open. It's absolutely terrifying. Because it looks
Paige
like...
has talked about that.
Yeah, it looks like she is
slept with her eyes open.
she's actively awake. Like, she will be sitting there, arms crossed, sitting straight up, looking. Like, it seems like she's looking at you, but in reality, she'll, like, snap out of it and she'll be like, sorry, I was asleep. What's up? My body definitely is one of those that's like, oh, you're tired? Your ass is going to sleep. Like, people could be at my house and I will still go up and sleep. Like, I can... Yeah. Like, when I'm tired, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. There was...
the end.
This was a big story back in the day, but I guess there was a radio show host who tried to stay awake for, like, 7 days. I forget what day he got to, but towards the end, he started hallucinating. He was seeing, like, cats and stuff throughout the studio. Like, he started hallucinating badly.
When you get a free chance, ask Taylor about 8th grade nocturnal night. She has some funny... That kid was straight up because we had to stay up all night.
Yeah.
So we went to school and then went to nocturnal night. We stayed at school all night. We did, like, you know, fun things, like,
was
with
that
animals.
In Sequoia?
Yeah.
I was so sad I wasn't in that.
It was so fun. And we had to do, like, all this stuff and everything, and I knew Taylor was tanking. Because Taylor's another one that, like, she's on a schedule. She likes to go to sleep at a certain time. She likes to get up at a certain time. So, like, I knew she was tanking when we went to that little old cottage over there by the Rose Garden, and we had to freaking write with a fucking pen and quill or whatever the fuck under the candlelight. Like, that was a great idea. So Taylor is, like, actively falling asleep. So, like, when we were going home, she tells this funny ass story about, like, literally how she was dreaming while being fully functional awake. And it is terrifying because she's straight up hallucinated.
Yeah.
Like, dreaming about animals chasing the car, like, but she was awake and talking to us, but seeing things. Like, so bizarre. You definitely have to take 5 minutes out of your night one of these days and ask her about it because the way she tells it is hysterical. Because Taylor's so serious.
Yeah.
So when she tells this story about, like, chasing bunnies and all that stuff, it is fucking hysterical. But it's terrifying to like, fight that and stay awake because it really messes
not easy
you up.
Either.
Yeah.
Sleep will always win.
Yeah, for real, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, for this section is napping. More than 30 minutes later a day can throw off your night's sleep and decrease your body's sleep drive, which I feel like that's a given. Like, I know that if I nap even a little bit extra, I'm going to bed at like 12, getting up at 3. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, I have to stay on that schedule because if I don't, I'll just screw up my other sleep schedule.
Yeah.
Now, going into some things about lucid dreaming, we all know that it is when we know we're dreaming. Research shows that lucid dreaming comes with a boost of activity in parts of the brain that are usually restful during sleep. Lucid dreaming is a brain state between REM sleep and being awake. Some lucid dreamers are able to influence their dreams, changing the story, so to speak, like we said before. This may be a good tactic to take sometimes, especially during a nightmare, but many dream experts say it's better to let your dreams flow naturally. Well, I can't. It's not like I have an option. Yeah. Like, I just feel like I fall asleep and I just always know that I'm asleep. Like, I know that I rested my head on my pillow, and now that I'm having dreams about flying or being carried away in a hot air balloon, I know I'm asleep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know if it's because I'm so analytical, like I said before, or something, and that's what can help me lucid dream so well. But I definitely don't want the cons to this. We'll get to that. Studies have found physical differences in the brains of people who do and don't have lucid dreams. The very front part of the brain, called the prefrontal cortex, which is the site of high-level tasks like making decisions and recalling memories, is bigger in people who have lucid dreams. That suggests that people who are most likely to have lucid dreams tend to be self-reflective types who chew on their thoughts in their head, which is basically me.
Yeah.
Constantly battle myself every day. Some benefits are less anxiety, better motor skills, improving problem solving, and more creativity. Some cons to lucid dreaming are less sleep quality, confusion, delirium, and hallucinations. I don't want to hallucinate.
No.
I don't do drugs, so I don't want to hallucinate on my own time. So, people who have certain mental health disorders, lucid dreams may blur the line between what's real and what's imagined, which is absolutely terrifying, especially if you have somebody that's like schizophrenic or bipolar, and like they could snap out. You know what I mean? Apparently, you can get your mind ready to lucid dream and learn how to become a person who lucid dreams a lot. I listened to this podcast. I'm so into Parcast Network. It's ridiculous. So they have an unexplained mysteries, and they have like a lucid dreams, just a 1-part episode. And it talks about this guy that basically coined REM sleep, lucid dream, and everything like that. He literally sounded so much like me, where he actively could lucid dream every night. It was just the way it was, like, and every single time he tried to like jump off a bridge, like he tried to kill himself in his dreams basically, but every time it's like the dream saved him. Like, you can't do that certain thing in your dream.
What I have from my research and things like that, things that you can't, like, for example, when he can't kill himself in the dream, or things that you've never actually done before, you can't do because your mind doesn't know what it's like. So he doesn't know what it's like to actually free fall. He doesn't know what it's like to actually splat on the ground or hit the water because he's never done it before.
Yeah.
You know? So I think
that episode's worth listening to because it's kind of crazy. Because he lucid dreamt a couple times, and then after that he started keeping a dream journal and all this stuff to be able to...
I hear that helps too.
And then he like would actively start basically learning how to lucid dream. Like, he was teaching himself that way, and then he found out other people are lucid dreamers, and they could do studies, and then they started doing the stuff with like make up a person and try to talk to the person and figure it out, and then everybody else had these different like kinds of dreams. Like, and then they had like a study where the guy and a couple other people had to all sing at the same time, and they had him like obviously hooked up to everything, and like literally his vocal cords were moving without like sound. So like it was like really weird, like, you know, like they all could train themselves to lucid dream and do certain things and remember as they go to sleep, hey, this is what I gotta do tonight.
What I would like to see is those people get together and tell them, okay, you have to meet each other in your dreams, and then ask them individually what they dreamt about and see if any of them link up.
Should shoot your shot, send it in.
That'd be cool.
Fund some research. So lastly, a survey shows that roughly 55% of adults have experienced at least a lucid dream in their lifetime, and 23% of people experience lucid dreams at least once per month. You wrote something on our notes about gray matter versus white matter or whatever, so I took it amongst myself to look that up. And there is more gray matter in brains of people who lucid dream. Research showed that brains of people with high and low dream lucidity were different. People with high lucidity had greater gray matter volume in the frontopolar cortex compared to those with low lucidity. So basically, you were right when you put that in your notes, that
I was
gray
wondering.
matter is more.
So, that's interesting. So if I don't know how many people would know that, but
if you donate your brain to science.
But I guess if you lucid dream, you probably have more gray matter in the most frontal part of your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Interesting.
I didn't know that, so that's why when I saw your little notes in the thing down there, I was like, all right.
During the research, it kind of popped up. It was like, gray matter. Well, I'll leave it to the group scientist.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that, because like when I went through, because we learned a little bit about obviously the brain and like certain things that parts of the brain do. So, like, I learned a little bit about this stuff in college, obviously. But I didn't know how in-depth things are.
That's crazy.
And that things are actually proven to, like, the gray matter and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know about that stuff.
Our brains are fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Before we go, I want to remind people to share with us your dreams and nightmares. Do you lucid dream? What have you done in your lucid dreams? What kind of sleep paralysis have you had? Sleep paralysis, demons? What have you experienced? What can and cannot do in dreams? I'd like to know. I think that's fascinating. And if enough of you share that info and send it in quick enough, maybe we can, I can read off some things that you've wrote in on the next podcast episode. I think that'd be pretty cool. We don't have a spooky fan story for today.
I literally wrote, we ain't got none.
So as a reminder, again, please share in your spooky fan stories. Send them to GhostEncountersStories@gmail.com or message us on any of our social channels. Just type it up as best as possible. Send it in. We'll read it off. You can be anonymous. That's no problem. But people like these spooky fan stories. I like to hear what our listeners have experienced in their life. Even if it's not you per se. What's a ghost story in your town? What's a ghost story? What's a local folklore legend?
Or a family story.
Where you live, or a family story. Any kind of thing like that. Please send them in. We need more.
I'm still waiting for aliens.
I know, we still need an alien one.
By
the way, off topic, have you ever dreamt about aliens or being abducted?
No. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't want to sound so cliche because I talk about aliens, I swear to God, in every episode. But I have never dreamt of something that I would even think an alien looks like, or an abduction, or any of that stuff. That's how I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring it up in the alternate universe. I'm like, well, the damn aliens never visited me yet because I've been waiting for them probably since I was 12.
You got to go visit them, girl.
All right.
I know.
I think in the next few weeks you should try and then see what happens. Maybe we can share it on the next podcast episode.
Yeah, I'll see what I can muster up here.
So instead of a spooky fan story, I found a couple creepy sleep paralysis stories online, and I'm going to share some of them with you. First one goes, college was demanding. During one stage, my anxiety levels peaked and the sleep cycle was in the dumps due to impending assignments. That's when an unprecedented horror befell me. In quotes, it says, "What fresh hell is this?" I thought to myself. I had a sleep paralysis attack, which I could have got through until an indescribable figure decided to make an appearance. There were large translucent drops, the color of water, again, indescribable, suspended all around my room, and eventually coming together to form a distorted silhouette. They didn't even show such a thing in the movies. It didn't have a face, arms, or body, or anything at all like ours. That's kind of creepy. Like, these weird translucent drops are in your room, they're falling, and they just decide to form a figure. It was a little weird.
Sorry, my inner childhood is coming out where Ivan Ooze got exploded and he came back together all goopy goppy. Do you remember Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Ivan Ooze?
I do. I just thought of...
He went every
Terminator,
which way.
I just thought of Terminator 2 when
and
he
then
explodes the liquid
metal
guy.
See, that's the difference between me and you. I think of a childhood movie and you're like, yeah, it makes more sense for the Mercury or whatever to come back together. I'm thinking of Ivan Ooze, who's completely, literally
so
fictional.
Another one goes, I've never had any visual encounters, but when it happened the first time, I was laying on my left side and started to feel that pressure in my chest. When I realized I was paralyzed and started panicking, something whispered in my ear, "Just coming to say goodnight." That's when I felt like something was pushing me towards the edge of my bed. Terrifying shit.
Okay, that would scare me. If my
right?
sleep paralysis demon ever says anything like that.
Whisper in your ear like
He's
that?
never talked. He just mocks.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like literally a little trickster. I hate his guts. I tell him that. Told him that when I was trapped in the sleep
Get a
bag.
life, man.
He's like, I hate you for ruining
Why are you so obsessed with me?
I know, I was like, why do you do this to me?
Another one goes, before I learned to cope with it, I've seen quite a few awful things. Horror films don't really do anything for me anymore because I've already seen the most terrifying things I already could. Here's a few things I remember off the top of my head. A little girl in the corner of my room staring at me. Then, without notice, she shrieks and runs up and starts choking me. A large, dark figure, kind of human silhouette, emerging from the foot of my bed and staring down at me. Something banging and scraping on my bedroom door. I keep it locked at night because I've had ones where it opens by itself. Edit. No, the door isn't open when I wake up. It only opens in the dream. My bedroom door opening by itself, followed by dark figures coming into my room. The earliest one I can remember is with my mother in the other room, and she's sitting on my bed. Her face morphs into a demon-like thing. Many others like that. The worst thing is when you try to fight or call for help. Your voice doesn't work, and your body will not respond. You just feel helpless. Ugh. I need to stop trying to remember these things. I'm getting chills.
That's a creepy one, okay? First off, because I've actively said in multiple podcasts that I hate kid ghosts or hate kid spirits. They freak me
Imagine
out.
one that's like
Coming up
screeching
and you can't fight the little thing off.
Can't fight back.
No.
And the last one I have here, it says, worst experience I had was with a devil-like creature, red and black with huge teeth that sat on me. It felt like it was suffocating me. It just kept pushing on my chest. I was terrified. I couldn't move or scream. What made it really bad was after I got up, my husband woke up, startled, and told me something had been pressing on his chest, trying to kill him.
That's freaking...
So was he experiencing the same exact thing right next to
Yeah.
you?
Something's going on in that house. And
Some crazy.
Crazy.
anything demonic just really, really scares me.
Yeah. Well, that is it for our Spectral Dreams podcast episode. It's fascinating what people have dreamt about, nightmares, lucid dreaming, how things are vastly different, but yet some things are very similar. It's very, you can go down a deep rabbit hole talking about this and doing research, but this has been great. And thank you all so much for listening. Again, wherever you're listening, please give us 5 stars. Don't forget to go to our website, ghost-encounters.com. There is merch for you to buy. There is podcast-specific merch, and Pride merch is still out. I'll just leave it going until the end of the summer. And Bree, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
the
thanks for the
podcast episode.
idea.
Oh, thank you guys for
Yeah,
having
this was
me.
all your idea. I thought this was an awesome episode.
I just knew you guys would crush this topic. So.
We all did.
Thanks
This
for
was
letting
great.
me join.
Of course. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. We're going to go to sleep. Stay spooky.
Sweet dreams.
Enjoy your nightmares.